Today we will be looking at functions, and functions are a special relation that pairs each domain with exactly one range. We're going to use that definition to explain whether a relation is a function or not. So each domain has exactly one range. And so here the directions on tonight's homework are going to state or ask us to state the domain, range, and determine whether it's a function or not. So let's take a look at our first one. And so here we've got a relation. It's just a series of ordered pairs. So I'm going to use the letter D here, since I'm running short on space, to represent the domains. The domains are the x values. So you just list them. And so I'll start with the smallest one, -3, and then work to the 3, the 5, and the 6. As long as you have them, you've got it. So the range values are the ones that are paired with those. And so here we have, they're the y components, the 2, the 8, the 1, and the 2. Since we've got 2 repeating, we just need to write it one time. So 1, 2, and 8 is fine. So those are the domains, the ranges. Now they're saying, is it a function? And the reason is yes, it is a function. Yes, a function. And the reason is that each domain, see the -3, the 3, and the 5, the 6, has only one range. You can have a range repeat, you just can't have the domains repeat. So yes, a function, each domain has one range. And so you kind of think of it as like a soda machine. And so a function is like a soda machine. Usually you've got different buttons here. Sometimes, to represent like Coke, Sprite, or root beer, whatever. And when you press it, you expect to get the same beverage out that you selected. So if you push button number 1, you should get beverage number 1. You push button number 2, you should get beverage number 2. 3, beverage number 3. Well, if you pressed 1 and got a 2, so let's say we press 1, and you get a 1 and a 1 and a 1. Let's say you press it a bunch of times, you get 1. But let's say you get a 2. You see, then it's not a function if you have a different answer, a different outcome. That means something went wrong. It's not. It's broken, or they put in the wrong stuff. Well, a function doesn't do that. A function always works. So you don't end up getting that one that is not correct. So that's our definition each time. Yes, it's a function. Each domain has one range. Next one here, domain values. These are our domains. I'll just write them out. Domains are 2, 5, -2, and 2. And our range values, again, the 2 repeated. So we don't need to write that. That's not necessary, but I went ahead and did. So the range values are 3, 9, 3, and 4. And this one is not a function. Not a function. The reason is the domain 2 has 2 ranges. So you can't have 2 ranges for one domain. See, if you push the button 2, we're getting a 3. Push the button 5, we get 9. Push the button -2, we get 3. But here we press 2 again, we got 4. Something's broken. So right here makes it not a function. A different type of example here. Here we have some mapping diagrams. So our domains are people this time. We got Joe, we got Tim, we got Ted, and we got Sally, and we got Mary. Those are our domains. Our range values are 89, 92, 72. Well, is this a function? We would say yes. The reason is none of the names repeated. None of them we didn't have 2 people taking the test. If these were test scores here, we didn't have 2 Marys, or Mary didn't take it twice, we should say. So yes, a function, and it's a function because each domain has one range. Well, let's take a look at our next one here. Here we've got a graph, so again we get to practice one of these. Our domains run along the x-axis, so it starts at 0 and it goes over 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 spaces. So it runs between these spaces. So our domain represents the numbers from 0 to 6. And so to show that, D has to be greater than or equal to 6 because of the solid circle, but only greater than 0 because of the open circle. Where the range values are a little different. They're running from 0 to 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 again. So from 0 to 6. So we have the same values, and instead of a D, it's an R, and the values do equal 6, but they are less than, because they're running down to 0 here, but they are only greater than 0, not 0 itself. So those are our values. Now, is this a function? We would say yes. It's a function because each of these domains has one range. If it were not a function, we would see the line go straight up. So it would have like one here, but then it would have one exactly above it here. So yes, each domain has one range. Well, looking at our next one here, this is another one in which we have a graph. So here's our domain. So it starts this time at positive 1, and it goes 2, 3, 4 spaces over. So it's an open circle here, but then it goes 2, 4. So it goes from 0 to 4, their domain values. They're equal to 4, but less than, but greater than 0. No, it's got that open circle, so not greater than 0. It should be a 1, actually, so let's fix that real quick. Not running to 0 this time, running to 1. And our range values, though, are going to be a little different. The range values go from 4 down to 1, it looks like. So they're going from this 4 all the way down to 1, but not including 4. So let me get the 1 first there. So we've got our 1 to 4, their range values. Now again, it's this time R is going to be, it's not equal to that 4. It's going to only be less than the 4. And the range values, again, we're talking about from this 4 down, so from this open circle down. But they are greater than or equal to 1 because of the filled-in circle. And again, this is yes, it's a function. Yes. And the reason is each domain has one range. And since we're talking about these graphs here, there's a quick test for graphs to tell whether it's a function or not. It's the vertical line test. And vertical line test works where if you draw a vertical line, like let's take this one here, and you pass through the graph, and if it contacts the graph more than once, like here, it contacts here and here, it's not a function. So this is not a function. That's not a function. So I'll just say no from now on if it's not a function. If it does only contact once, like this one here, you can only get it to contact one time. You can pass a bunch of lines through, but notice they only contact one time. So this is yes, this one is a function. So that means each domain has one range. All those domains only have their range value that is on that graph. Here, this is not a function. See how it contacts it twice there. So this is a no. And then this one here, we can get it to contact more than twice. We can get it to contact 3 times. So that's definitely a no. Here, this one we can only get to contact once. You see, it only contacts at that one spot. So this one's a yes. This one's definitely a no. Vertical lines are not functions because, you see, each of these domains that represents this line here has the same range. So this is definitely a no. Other types of line, any other type of line, is going to end up being a yes. It's only going to contact once. Well, let's go back up to this word problem here. It talks about a shop rents canoes for $7 for a $7 equipment fee. So this is like a constant amount that you're always going to pay. And then $2 per hour. So and means plus. So plus $2 an hour. That's our variable amount. And so if I was to write an equation for that, it would be 2h plus 7. And so it says that with a maximum cost of $15 per day. So you can't go anything over that. So if you go over 15, it's just going to be 15. So express the number of hours as x. So in place of h here, we're going to use x. And cost is y. Okay, and we're going to draw a table. So here's x, and here's y. And we're going to use these numbers here, for the values of x, which are the hours we're running it. So 1, 2, 3, 4, and 5. And then they say, is it a function or not? So let's go ahead and do it. So we plug in 1 in for x, and we plug it into our equation that they talked about up here. So 2 times 1 is 2, plus 7 gives me 9. Over here, 2 times 2 is 4, plus 7 gives me 11. 3 times 2 is 6, plus 7 gives me 13. And 4 times 2 is 8. And then plus 7 gives me 15. I get up to this one, 5 goes in there, and that makes 10. 10 plus 7 is 17. But remember, you can only have a maximum of $15. So that's why this one's back to 15. So there's our table. Now they're saying, is this a function or not? Well, we would say yes, it's a function. Each domain which represents the hours here, has one range, which is the cost. So what that means is, when you plug in 1 hour, you're always going to get $9. You're not going to get a different cost. When you plug in $2, you're not going to get a different cost. You're just going to get $11. When you plug in 3, you're going to get 13. 4, you're going to get 15. And anything bigger than 4, you're always going to get 15. So you're always going to get the same cost. Your cost is not going to change if you have, let's say, 2 hours. Your cost will not be $11 or $13. It'll always just be 11. And that's what a function is. Always has the same range value for each domain. So each domain has just one range. Good luck on tonight's homework. The rest of the problems are review problems. You can find those on page 190.